Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates. Sarah's out this morning. She'll be back tomorrow. We are headed to Tampa for the 67th regular convention of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod at the Tampa Convention Center in Tampa, Florida. Joining us today, Kip Allen and Gary Duncan. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, gentlemen.
Well, that's our job. That's where we are, right here at the 67th triennial convention of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod in Tampa, Florida. Well, the convention is in recess right now. You can probably hear the people wandering around. It has been quite a week, I got to tell you. A lot of things have been going on. A lot of resolutions are passed. But I think people are getting ready to go home. I think tomorrow is a final day, and people are getting tired and looking forward to going home. I ran into Matt Harrison on the elevator today, and he said he's definitely looking forward to it.
Well, there's a lot of business to be done, a lot of business conducted during these conventions, and it's all kind of packed into that, that concentrated time over, 4 or 5 days, trying to get all that business done. I understand that the exhibitors are wrapped up yesterday, so today is strictly just convention business taking place there in the hall. What were some of the highlights of yesterday's business in the convention?
Well, I think probably the most significant one is that once again the LCMS has come out strongly against racism. We first declared against it in 1956, and once again it has been put up, and it is regarded flat out as a sin, and that we have to pray for those who embrace that vile ideology and hope that they come to repentance. Other things that we've been looking at are gender dysphoria. This is another thing where, the biblical truth, there are two genders, man and woman. That's all there is to it. And this is something that we have to stand fast in. As you know, today we're having a lot of problems with people who are claiming otherwise here in our society. But we and the LCMS and other churches know that is what the biblical truth is.
We were also a little concerned. We heard rumors that there was possibly going to be a protest because of that issue. That so far we haven't seen anybody protesting, but there was some concern that the LGBT community would be protesting the convention here.
So a number of important issues on the docket yesterday, and then more important issues today as well. Many of those are overtures, just clarifying what it is that we believe, teach, and confess as Lutheran Christians today.
Well, that's part of the purpose of this convention, is to get together and to affirm and reaffirm what our very basic tenets are, and how we conduct ourselves in our everyday life, and what each congregation is expected to do. And after every 3 years, it makes sense to get together and make sure we're all on the same track. And that's what we're doing here.
I saw yesterday there were a number of partner churches as well as international guests from churches who are not necessarily partner churches, but being represented at the convention as well. It was a large number of representatives and guests. Were you able to visit or see any of those guests? Do you know who some of those partner churches or international guests were yesterday?
Well, yeah, I do. In fact, the partner churches that were actually recognized yesterday were the Church of Belgium, the Church in Denmark, and the Church in Portugal. So they are now in full altar and pulpit fellowship with us. Now, I've run into a couple of others, some delegates from other churches. I've run into one delegate from Papua New Guinea. I ran into another one from Madagascar.
I talked to that man from Madagascar as well. And he wanted to try to get one of our staff members to come down and help them start a radio station. He asked if I could send somebody down there for about 3 months. And I said, I don't really think we have the manpower to do that right now. But that's, people hear about KFUO and what we're doing, and they want to do some of the same things in their country. So he really wanted us to come down there and help them start a radio ministry like this one.
And that church is a rapidly growing church and bold in their confession in the society in which they live. And certainly I'm sure they would benefit from whatever support that their fellow churches, brother churches, or sister churches are able to provide them.
Well, as you know, Lutheranism is probably the fastest growing religion in all of Africa, in that region. We're really, really hitting a message that those people there want to hear. We've been very successful in our efforts over there.
What are some of the items on the docket today that are up for consideration?
I knew you were going to ask me that. Actually, most of it is just house cleaning work. There's a couple of resolutions that are going to be proposed. For example, how to do dispute resolution, things along that line. But a lot of it is just simply recognizing the various ministries and the various groups that have given service. There's one where we want to pay tribute to the faithful who have moved on to the next life. We are recognizing 125 years of missionary efforts in Africa, things along that line.
I noticed that the voting method is certainly modern and updated as well. Probably significantly different than our forefathers who assembled in convention decades ago, and the technology that's used as well. Have you had a chance to see any of that in the hall?
Yeah, I have actually. Down in the communications room where our brethren from the communications department are, they actually have a big television screen where they're monitoring the entire convention. And when a vote comes up, there's an electronic vote. And they've got like 10 seconds to vote yes or no, and then the results are instantly flashed on the screen. So you know exactly how the vote went.
Much more expeditious than decades ago when paper ballots had to be considered. I suppose simply voting by hand as well.
Yeah, and I could say something about the presidential election too. It might be a little bit more quick and more accurate.
Sure, that was conducted before this convention. That was all done electronically as well, online. Correct?
Yeah, it was. But here, of course, we're with our own intranet here, so hacking is not an issue, anything like that. So it's amazing, just how much it has improved. I remember for the last triennial, it was nowhere near as smoothly run as this one is. Not to criticize the way it was organized, just that the technology is better now.
Sure, and that technology then certainly makes the process more efficient and allows us to condense that time and conduct more business in a shorter amount of time. Kip, what's on deck for World Lutheran News Digest this week? And I know we'll hear more news from you throughout the day. Any stories you'd like to highlight or give us a heads up on today?
Well, actually, I do. I was at the dinner for the Ministry of the Armed Forces, and Pastor Nabil Noer gave a little talk. And, he came from another country and was subject to a lot of persecution. And he spoke about how rare and how amazing the religious tolerance is in this country, and how rare that is throughout the world. So I am going to be talking to him on WLN, and we'll be discussing the idea of religious liberty and how precious it is.
He has quite the story. He certainly has a story. I'm glad he had the opportunity to speak at the Ministry of Armed Forces banquet this week. And
absolutely. He's an inspiring man.
Absolutely. Others that you've had the opportunity to meet, or have you had a chance to? I know you've been at the booth a lot and conducting interviews there. Have you had a chance to be inside the hall at all where the convention proceedings are happening?
No, I haven't. Actually, they discourage us from going in there while the delegates are debating. So we try to stay away from them and catch them as they come out.
Very good. Yeah, I know that the communications team certainly has their area as well for all their communications work without disrupting the process of the convention.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the big thing, is that the convention is for the delegates, and they really need to concentrate on these very, very special issues. And it's for someone like me to come up and stick a mic in their face while they're in the middle of deliberations is a little bit distracting.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure after all of your time there at the convention, and I know you have a few more stories to share with us today, you'll be wrapping up our broadcast from there, but we'll have some stories to share throughout today and tomorrow as well. I'm sure you've got a long road ahead of you as well. Need some time to rest, just like everyone else from the convention, some time to rest and relax. Anyone else that you're hoping to see before you wrap up your time there today?
Well, actually, there is. I do a program on Fridays called Let's Talk, the Pastor's In. And most of the pastors that I speak to are around the country, and I run into them, I just talk to them on telephone. And for the first time, I've actually been able to meet some of them here. And so I'm going to be recording a Let's Talk program this afternoon with Bill Swirla, who I normally, who is one of the people I work with. But he's based in California, Hacienda Heights, and this is the first time I've actually met the guy.
So you get to meet face to face, and I'm sure that's the case for many of the delegates as well, meeting face to face. Many of them probably connect on social media or other ways, other electronic communications, and to be able to meet face to face. There's something to be said about that, having that opportunity to meet face to face. That certainly can change the dynamic of a conversation, I'm sure, as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When you're actually sitting across from the person and speaking to them as opposed to doing it on the telephone. Because, communication is a lot through body language as well as just through voice. And that is so important. And that's one of the things that's, again, one of the reasons for the convention down here. And it's interesting to see familiar faces as well. I ran into my pastor down here, who interestingly is not a delegate. His wife is.
She's serving as a lay delegate, I gather.
Yeah, she's the delegate. He's there to give support.
Outstanding. Well, we are just about out of time. We have just a minute, but as always, one of my favorite things here on the Coffee Hour, we got to catch up on food. Did you have a chance to experience any of the local food in Tampa while you're there this week?
Oh, yeah.
I assume some good seafood there in Tampa.
There was. We went to one place called Harpoon Harry's Crab House, and what attracted us was a big chalkboard sign outside of it that said Lutheran Chef inside.
Yeah, and actually the Lutheran Chef came and talked to us. We mentioned that we were from the convention here, and the waiter sent the Lutheran Chef out to meet us. And it was a fun experience. And he welcomed us to Tampa, and he was glad to see fellow Lutherans here.
Nice, warm hospitality from those in the Tampa community. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for the update, and we look forward to more updates from you throughout the day, Kip. Thanks so much.
You got it.
Well, that does it for the Coffee Hour today. I'm Andy Bates. Sarah will be back tomorrow with more updates we'll share more updates from the convention as well.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.